if he wants us to cut off the electricity, he will have to walk up the Trump Tower with candles.
Remember Jasper? It's back in the news. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today's top story here. We've got the people of Jasper are not happy with the response from the federal government. We also got Chretien on CTV talking about the tariffs with Donald Trump and the whole situation, Trudeau stepping down, the Liberal Party. We got a bunch of other stuff. Let's jump into this. We got a new polling here. It says 60 plus years old, and still 24% of people over 60 are willing to vote Liberal. This guy's question here is essentially asking why. The reason why is because they're watching CBC. They're not getting their news from anywhere else, and they're stuck in that echo chamber, essentially. It's depressing. Don't they realize that we will benefit most from a conservative government? No, they don't realize that. Alzheimer's comes to mind. They watch too much taxpayer-paid news because they only see mainstream media. Exactly. Everyone's seeing the same thing here. So a little update with this photo here. So I shared this on a channel like a day or two ago. I believe I said that the Conservatives posted this photo. So it turns out this was posted on a new account on Facebook, and then the Liberals have been accusing the Conservatives of posting this, but there's no proof the Conservatives have posted this photo. It could be some angry Conservative who waited for opportune time to post this. It could be some guy who used to work with Mark Carney who doesn't like the guy. It could be someone else random on the other side of the planet who just decided to stir things up and has nothing to do with Canada. We got Jagmeet here. He's obviously doing his campaign push here. He's putting out videos saying he's fighting for Canadians. He's finally doing it now because he's going to get his pension.
I have a message for Donald Trump. Our country's not for sale. Not now, not ever. I lived across this country, and I can tell you, Canadians are a proud people. We're proud of our country, and we're ready to fight like hell to defend it. Right now, with the forest fires ravaging homes, Canadian firefighters showed up. That's who we are. We show up and support our neighbors. But if Donald Trump thinks, if you think you could pick a fight with us, there'll be a price to pay. I've committed that if Donald Trump imposes tariffs on us, we should respond with retaliatory tariffs in kind. I think that anyone running as prime minister should do the same.
Thank goodness we've got Jagmeet fighting for us now. I've got video here of the planes coming in to get the water from the ocean and dump it on the fires. This is pretty amazing because you'll see they're all in a line here. How brave are these people, these pilots, to come and do this? Like, they skim the water, they throttle up, a bunch of water is going in the plane, and then they take off. So you can see here, plane takes off, and then there's another one coming in right behind it. This is pretty wild. It's amazing that our Canadian firefighters are down there helping out. That situation is absolutely terrible in LA. So here we got Vasi Capellos interviewing Chretien. It's his 91st birthday.
Incoming President Donald Trump's threats on a number of different levels. First, of course, around tariffs, but lately, and more specifically this week, even calling on annexing Canada becoming the 51st state through economic coercion or economic force. What has been going through your head as you watch him make those comments?
You know, it's not new that the Americans look at Canada. We even had a war in 1812, and we burned the White House. So, you know, I don't take that seriously because I don't think it will happen. It's not in the interest of America not to have a good neighbor like Canada north. And for Mr. Trump, he does not realize that if Canada had been part of the U.S. a few weeks ago, he would have never become president because the Canadians would not have voted for him.
That's a pretty bold statement. I mean, you're adding 41 million people. America's population's 340 million, so it'd be 380 million. Trump won 312 electoral seats versus 226 for Kamala, so it's really too hard to predict if 40 million people would affect that.
And he would have lost clearly the Congress because there's only 2 or 3 seats. Canadians are not right-wingers a la Trump. You know, the Canadians love our values, they love our mentality, they love the kind of society we have, a much more generous, tolerant society.
Yeah, but Trudeau has gotten rid of that. That's the problem. Trudeau is far left-wing. Canadians are not used to that. We don't like that. We don't like this woke nonsense. We're too polite. We've gone along with it to the point where now it's breaking our country. Now everyone's like, oh, wait, maybe we shouldn't be going along with this.
And we don't have ghettos like they have, and that type of problem they have. We have less poor and, of course, less rich than they have. And the Canadians are very proud. And I read not long ago there was a poll taken around the globe, and Canada is still the best destination. They were asking the people, if you had to start again life, where would you like to do that? And the majority were for Canada, way ahead of America.
Have they been here, or are they just doing it based on their feeling?
So aside from him talking about us as a state or annexation, he has made a very specific threat about imposing 25% tariffs, a blanket tariff on all Canadian imports. If you were, you served not only as Prime Minister, but Finance Minister. If you were still in either of those roles, how worried would you be about the prospect of a trade war between these two countries?
We always had that type of problem. When I was Prime Minister, when I was Minister of Finance, when I was Minister of Trade, I was dealing with the Americans in 1968 when I was Minister of Northern Affairs, and I had problems between Yukon and Alaska. So, there is always some problems. We always resolve them easily. And, apparently he said this morning that he does not need our electricity. Fine. If he wants us to cut off the electricity, he will have to walk up the Trump Tower with candles to go to his office, because the state of New York rely a lot on electricity coming from Canada, mainly from Hydro-Quebec. So it's not realistic. He loves to be in the news, and the news give him a lot of space. But the reality is a reality. And my view is I'm not losing sleep over that.
One old man going after another. The electricity is the biggest bargaining chip here. As Doug Ford came out with it right away, shutting that off really hurts America instantly. Obviously, it still hurt Canada, but we shouldn't even be talking about this. We should be talking about how we can further prosper together to ward off what's going on in the rest of the world.
Because they will probably suffer much more than we'll do if we have that type of war.
You think that's true?
Oh, yes.
My understanding is that, even in those visits to Mar-a-Lago, for example, what the people around Trump in his administration have communicated to our federal government is, yes, both sides will hurt in a trade war, but their belief is that Canada's economy will be more impacted. And I think economists have said that as well.
They're not to say the contrary when they want to negotiate. Mm-hmm. But I know that, we're in a better position because what they buy from us, they really need it. We can go elsewhere than Florida if we want. We can get orange juice and a lot of products from other nations. But the electricity is not coming by truck or pipeline.
Yeah, we send too much crude oil down there. We need to sell that to make money. They need it to process it and sell it back to other places, including us. It's a symbiotic relationship. We can't fiddle-diddle with this. We are not in a better position, as Chretien just said here.
And the type of oil they buy from Alberta, if they don't buy it from Alberta, they will have to buy it from Venezuela because it's a special type of oil they buy mostly from us. And they cannot replace it by something else. And it is all our oil in their calculation is part of the security of supply in their security rules for them. They consider that they will have access to this oil as long as they need it.
So you don't think our positioning or his positioning even is weakened by the fact that he's, as of March 9th or so, not going to be there?
A Prime Minister can die tomorrow, and Canada will keep going. So for me, I'm not too excited about it.
I mentioned Prime Minister Trudeau and his positioning right now. There's only a small group of people in this country who know what it's like to figure out when is the right time to go. Do you feel that Prime Minister Trudeau made the right decision, and do you think he waited too long?
Of what?
To leave.
Oh, but that is his choice and his situation. But you have to leave at one time, and he decided to leave at this time.
That's a pretty arrogant response. Sure, it's his choice. He's the one in charge, but he has a moral obligation to Canadian citizens.
It was his privilege. He could have stayed. Of course, he was facing some turbulence, and it's happening all the time. In politics, it's like that. I used to say that the opposition are, the opponent. The enemies very often are in your back. So, but, he had served well for three terms. He was great for the Liberal Party. He took us...
He was great for the Liberal Party. He's decimated the Liberal Party. Is he up to date on what's going on here, or is he back in 2015?
In third position, and he won the election for us, and he's been 2 minority government, and his third minority government, he's done something that nobody else have ever been able to do. Usually, a minority government never survive more than 2.5 years. Now he's in his 4th year.
Yeah, that's because he signed a corrupt deal with Jagmeet Singh, so Singh gets his pension and he gets to stay in power. Is he not paying attention to what's going on in politics?
It's unique. But the time has come in his judgment to go, and he's gone. And we'll have another one eventually within apparently the 9th of March.
Yeah, within a very short period of time. And he has certainly taken the party through 3 elections successfully. But for the last year, the party has considerably trailed the Conservatives in public opinion polling. Do you think, given what we do know about how short the race is and how soon an election might happen, that the next leader will be able to mount a challenge, really, to the Conservatives?
You know, just to show to you how volatile is sometimes the situation. In the election of 1993, you know, Mulroney, when he quit, he was more unpopular than Trudeau today, and he resigned. I was 22, 23 ahead of him. Kim Campbell came 2-3 weeks after she became the prime minister. She was ahead of me by 10 or 15 points. So there was a turnaround in a month of 35%.
But she ultimately
And
lost.
after that, she faced me, and whoop, you know, she lost her seat and she finished only with 2 seats. And all that happened in the period of 6 months.
Does he seriously think that the Liberals can turn this around? This old man's lost his marbles if he thinks that Canadians are going to elect another Liberal government.
You know, everybody was surprised that when she lost her seat, finished with 2 seats, and they had 12% of the vote, something like that. So, you know, things can change quickly.
Things can change quickly when the drama involved in politics is not decimating Canadians' lives. The woke left policies have broken Canada so badly, Canadians will not forget this. And he is delusional to think that the Liberals can swing this back the other way.
Do you think that the party should, in this next election, move more to the center? There's a lot of MPs talking about that.
I'm sure they will.
Why are you sure?
Because I've talked to all the candidates, and it is a fundamental condition for the party to come back, to be the radical center, as I used to say, because it is what has been the Liberal Party all along. When I was leader, I was traveling the world, and they would ask me, because if you're in Europe, a Liberal tend to be center-right, but strong on human rights. And in the United States, it's the left. So they will ask me, Mr. Chretien, what is a Liberal in Canada? And I would say, when in Canada, the left says of you, you're a right-winger. And when the people on the right says you're a left-winger, you're a good Canadian Liberal Chretien, the radical center. And I think the party is coming back there, I'm sure.
I will leave it on that note, Mr.
I don't doubt that the Liberals will go more back to the center because Trudeau has destroyed the party. That it's their only option. They have to go more center to try to get some support. They're only going to get the super loyal Liberals who don't like Trudeau coming back. The rest of Canadians are not coming back. They burned that bridge. He's the only guy who's easier to understand at 91 than he was at 51. I consider myself a right-winger, but still have respect for Chretien. I'd rather like his approach to politics, which is to treat the other side as a respected opponent rather than some kind of evil strawman. I haven't heard this much common sense in a long time. He's 91, but better spoken than many 40-somethings. He is quite sharp still. I think he's delusional, though, if he thinks the Liberals can turn this around. If you think about it, though, this guy's not living on the street. He's not struggling to find the next meal. He's super wealthy. So he's not connected to real Canadians, to everyday Canadians. So he doesn't have a real understanding of how hard life is in Canada right now. Sharp as attack in 91. Chretien is so far to the right of Trudeau, it's disingenuous to call them both Liberals. It's funny. I agree with most of what he said except the ghettos because now we have tent cities. A lot of people praising him for being smart. I mean, he was a smart prime minister. Unlike Justin Trudeau, there's a big difference between the two. Next up in Trudeau's Canada, we've got 3 goons here taking someone's car. It's an everyday occurrence here today.
Nowhere is safe in Mississauga, Ontario. These 3 criminal thugs took this old man to steal his Mercedes SUV.
It's just every day. This is insane. We've got this here. This is a hospital in China.
Imagine walking into a hospital where the future is not just a vision, but a reality above your head. Sleek, silent machines glide along tracks, like something out of a SCI-FI movie. Patient.
So these boxes go into here. The robots put all the pills in there, and then they get delivered. This is pretty high tech. Will we see this coming to Canada anytime soon? Probably not. You can see here the boxes just move along, all automated. Amazing. We've also got this one here. Thief in Brampton steals iPhone during a marketplace sale. So you can see here the guy hands him it as if he's going to check it out, and then he takes off. See you later. Every day in this country. Check out this short clip coming from Fox News, just ripping Trudeau.
By now, from the pandemic, this guy's not presidential material. he can't run a cash register at a 7-Eleven. He's a disaster.
So he's talking about Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Just wait for it.
When I watch him, his mannerisms, his look, his little dabble-do-ya hair, and so forth, I think of Justin Trudeau. He's the Justin Trudeau of California. Justin Trudeau, for 10 years, has destroyed Canada. Newsom has destroyed California. He's not the only one. Go back to Jerry Brown. Schwarzenegger's another one.
Every day, someone's taking a shot at Trudeau. Jasper in Los Angeles. So speaking of Jasper, let's jump over to that. We got this coming out here today. It says, we're going to lose Jasper. Town pleads with Stephen Guilbeault to fast-track recovery. So we've got here, this guy here, Mark is the 64-year-old owner of Jasper's Takara Lodge. They're pleading with the government here because Guilbeault hasn't showed up to even look at the situation in Jasper. They're worried they won't get the power all turned back on and get things basically functional for the summertime when the huge rush of people goes through Jasper and spends all that money, because Jasper needs it. That's when Jasper makes its money, is the summertime. It says here, I can't believe Guilbeault hasn't been out here to see what's going on, says Mark. I'm very worried about the fact it's not going well because it's not just a matter of a couple things going sideways. I think there are real structural problems, and I don't see a lot of real will right now to resolve those structural problems. And we have to, or we're going to lose Jasper. He despairs. It's that simple. And when talking about rebuilding, he says the town is trying really hard with super limited resources. I'll give the province a huge amount of credit. He adds, it says here, super environmentalist, Guilbeault is no friend of Alberta's UPC government. That's no secret, but it does seem harsh for the ministry not to prioritize Jasper's recovery in my mind. That's no brainer. I don't think that a hotel owner in Banff for Jasper is at the top of Guilbeault's friends list, Mark shrugs. Are we really surprised about the situation? No, Guilbeault's a radical loser. He's prioritized his investments in Cycle Capital, not really doing the same for Jasper. There you have it, Jean Chretien calling out Trump. He thinks we have more leverage than they do. He's also very optimistic on the Liberals turning this around. That's not going to happen. It'll be interesting to see here in the next couple of days, though, which Liberals actually throw their hat in the ring and who's going to actually run for this leadership position. Because then we can finally get excited about who Poilievre is going to decimate in the election.